having the GAs. There's an awful lot of people giving the whole time.
It's nearly, it's like them, you probably know yourself, it's nearly demanded by the players that there's some sort of continuity from guys that played the game in the past, that were involved at minor level at some stage, and they bring kids through the ropes at under age level and stuff like that, and they get their opportunity when it comes around.
There's one thing they have in Croke Park here today, Tomas, they didn't have 21 years ago when you were playing, and that's floodlights, and they have been switched on here at Croke Park, and I suppose that's indicative of the day here, because not only is it drizzling rain, as we can see from the picture there, but it's also quite a dull day here in Dublin, and there's a sort of that sort of, you know, grey sort of atmosphere over Croke Park, although I suspect, Sir Farrell, that grey atmosphere will be lifted in a few minutes' time when the ball is thrown in.
I expect, I remember one famous time we were playing Kilkenny, you're talking to boys down about the times they come out the tunnel, and you get this time sheet and you have to follow it closely, but Kilkenny left, say, 2 minutes before us, time, and the iron gate was down here in this corner here, it was locked, and they hit that gate such raps, it was like, you know, but you'd have like a bomb coming, they couldn't get out, like, but it was all turmoil, like, and that can happen in a tunnel, like, now, okay, now it's maybe more refined now, but like, things will happen that shouldn't happen, and like, it was very hard to go out and play, but like, when the ball is thrown in, that's the big thing. It's tough when teams hanging around and warm-ups, and everyone have their own little bit to do, and maybe everyone has their own little spot in the dressing room. But once you hit the pitch and once the ball is thrown in, it's all about getting the little white ball first. And I just hope today that they keep popping out new balls, because Tomas said when he came back up that the ground was very wet below. Like the minute when the grass is wet, no matter after a minute or two, the ball will get very heavy. So hopefully they'll keep popping out new balls that will keep flying around the place.
And Liam, this is the moment when the teams start to emerge out, and there's no turning back from now.
No, the countdown is on in earnest now at this stage. You know, the teams are coming out onto the field, and again, it's a big occasion. I mean, most of the teams, or most of the players on both teams have been through this occasion before, so they know what to expect. And it is a little bit different because you get maybe 20 minutes out and you got to shake hands and all this that goes on Ireland final. So for the likes of John O'Keefe and Paul Murphy and Colin Finlay, guys that are having to deal with this for the first time, it's a big thing. You know, it is a big thing for a player. So you have to sort of prepare guys for that all the way up along, and you know, so that it doesn't just unnerve them, because it can unhinge them a little bit. So I'm sure for the new guys that are experiencing this for the first time, they'll be very anxious to get their hands on the ball and get that first puck in, and then you're in the rhythm, you're in the routine, and you're off, you know.
And that's a good point, because obviously when you look at teams as experienced as Tipperary are, or Kilkenny are, and so many of those guys, like particularly on the Kilkenny side, of so many All-Ireland medals, but there's always that, as Liam said, one or two maybe newcomers will have to be sort of helped through this process.
Oh, geez, Michael, the key thing about All-Ireland final day, everybody, that the 15 players are around the field to start the match, everybody wants to be the hero, everybody wants to be the star performer, but it doesn't work out that way. I mean, 70 minutes will go very, very quickly for a lot of players today. They'll look at maybe after the game, if they have time to turn the clock back again. It's all about the 70 minutes now. A lot of hype last night that Brendan Maher would start for Tipperary, that Conal Fennelly mightn't make it for Kilkenny, and all that Eddie Brennan would be put back into the corner position. That doesn't seem to have materialised at the moment, that they're going as selected, you know. And interesting there is Eddie Brennan picked to play against Padraig Maher and stuff like that, and you'd be just thinking, is that on the basis that every time Brennan gets the ball, that he starts running out Padraig Maher and start turning him around, put him facing towards his own goal. So it's going to be very interesting in these type of conditions. Doing that, will it take an awful lot out of the legs?
Well, we've had no indication of any changes on either team, Cyril, so far, so presumably they're going to play as selected. So now, as Small said, now it's a matter of who takes up who and what the little tactics are on the day.
It doesn't matter how, when you have a goalie in, it's 14 against 14 out the pitch. And the lads are referring to the new guys, and it's a big occasion. But I found the players, your 10th time, if you got into 10th time, was actually bigger than the first time, because you actually knew what was at stake. It was kind of, it could get you. And the big thing is really, you're going to be tense. Every fella have different ways of expressing it, but the big thing is once you hit the pitch, to release that, you know what I mean, and get the get the feel of the ball. Now the sooner that happens, the better. And no one wants to make a mistake, but you'll find that the person that gets the first touch and go for broke. In All-Ireland final, you have to go for broke, and sometimes you'll do things that you might never do again. And I just hope like that. I just hope with these wet conditions that there's no one that a reckless tackle, someone doesn't get a red card. I hate to see someone down to 40 men, because it will be slippy conditions, and no matter what cogs they've in, it's going to be fairly hectic, because lads will be going in at 100 miles an hour. But whoever puts their print in the game, Kilkenny will be trying to establish themselves from the very, very beginning, and it will be interesting to see who picks up who. You know, usually with Brian Cody, he likes to get Henry Shefflin on the new guy, so he'll be on John O'Keefe in the backs. And as Tomas referred to there, with Eddie Brennan, most unlikely that he'd be wing forward. He might, but with the modern days anyway, everyone kind of switches around. People will be doing the very same thing, be switching all over the place. If Noel McGrath into forward, Bonner Maher in there, Seamus Cannon out again, it'll be all movement. So it's like cat and mouse, but when the ball is in, someone's going to catch, some cat is going to catch the mouse, whoever it's going to be.
Of course, now, Liam, what the other thing that we have is once the teams come out and you have the cheer of the crowd and you run out onto the pitch in Croke Park, you have that kind of lull period that takes place now for the next while, the warm-ups, the meeting the president, the parade and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it's all done minute by minute. You know, I mean, you know, Keane O'Neill will know what he's doing for the next 10 minutes on that pitch, and you know, likewise, then they'll know when they need to go over, and if they need to go back in for a toilet break as well before they go, because there is a long time. You know, they're taking liquids on to make sure they don't get dehydrated throughout the day. So it is important that they're ready to go. But you know, it's all building nicely for the throw in at 3:30, and I just, you know, I think we're all waiting in anticipation of what's going to take place in the next 70 minutes.
Well, the anticipation all over the country is huge at this stage, Tomas.
Well, it is, Michael, and isn't it fantastic? You know, we're all hurling people, but for all sports people, is it a fantastic occasion? And if there isn't nerves or butterflies inside the belly, there is something wrong. Whether you're a young guy or whether you're an older guy, this is the biggest stage of an amateur player's career that he can play on, the highest level that he can play on. Brian Crowley all week has been hyping an awful lot of pressure on the Tipperary boys, and he was saying about the Kilkenny guys, sure, what else would they be doing? They're doing what they love to do best, is play on the biggest stage, and hopefully that lives up to their expectations.
OK, time to head over to the commentary box. Ger Canning and Michael Dignan are there to describe this afternoon's big match. But right now they're going to take us through the team lineups. Ger.
Michael, after two of the most compelling finals in living memory, well, we're looking forward to what we hope will be maybe the third part of that particular group of meetings to determine best of three, as it were. And let's take a check through to see who's going to win today and who's going to start. Starting with the Leinster champions, they start the final with 6 changes from last year. Among them, goalkeeper David Herity from Dunnamaggin. Paul Murphy at right corner back is another experiencing this stage of the championship for the first time after a really good season so far. Team captain Brian Hogan had the misfortune to miss last year's classic final through injury. Today he lines up as usual at centre-half back. Michael Fennelly in midfield has been having his best season at this level. He's listed to start with Michael Rice, who was a sub last year. Eddie Brennan is programmed to start on the wing in a line which includes Richie Power and Henry Shefflin. And up front, Colin Fennelly, who might well be switched, partners Owen Larkin and Richie Hogan. As you say, alongside me here is Michael Dignan. Who do you want to focus on, Michael?
Well, Michael Fennelly to me has been key for Kilkenny this year. Outstanding athlete. I think the way they have to play today, he's going to have to drop back, help the half back line and the full back line, but also get forward, and he's, you know, averaging 2 or 3 points a game as well. So to me, he's a key man for Kilkenny today.
Well, then about Tipperary, the defending champions, with goalkeeper Brendan Cummins set to start his 67th championship match. What a goalkeeper he has been down the years. The full back line shows Paul Curran lining up with Paddy Stapleton and Michael Cahill. And then in front of them is an All-Ireland final newcomer in John O'Keefe, while on the other flank, a possible hurler of the year, of course, in Pádraig Maher. Shane McGrath plays centre field for the 3rd year in a row, this time with Garrod Ryan in tandem. Tip have resisted making change of the half-forward line, with Seamus Callanan replaced against Dublin at half-time, starting once again. And in the full forward line, team captain Owen Kelly carries much of the threat, along with last year's top performer, that's corner forward Lar Corbett. Michael, your thoughts?
Well, Pádraig Maher, the left half back for Tipperary, to me has been the key man this year. He was outstanding all year, but the last day against Dublin chose not to puck any ball in the whole game out his wing, but he still exerted a huge influence on the game, ended up scoring 2 points from play. And I think, you know, you'll see Kilkenny today trying to puck the ball down on top of John O'Keefe and probably Henry Shefflin, and trying to keep Pádraig Maher out of the game, because he is a huge influence on this Tipperary team.
Thanks indeed, Michael. Well, will it be 2 in a row for Tipperary, or will the Cats extract their own retribution? They're the greatest of rivals, usually the best of friends, just not this afternoon, Michael.
Yeah, perhaps not for the next hour or two anyway, Ger, that's for sure. One of the things that we've seen time and time again, Liam Sheedy from Kilkenny, is when you think that they might be in a big challenge under pressure, people talk about their form and so forth. Leinster finally against Dublin, they come out and they blow teams away in the first half of the match.
Yeah, they're experts at it. You know, they really want to make their stamp on the match very, very early on. You know, it is definitely a pattern they've had again this year. I think definitely they set out their stall. I mean, in their first game against Wexford, you know, very early on they got the goal. Richie Hogan got it.
Just wasn't good enough on the day. Then they upped to the following year in terms of intensity, and that's been impressive, and it seems to be there again this year. Yeah,
and that's the reason they were successful against Kilkenny, Michael, last year, because Liam mentioned, and I'm going to counteract, and he's arguing on the basis of the Kilkenny intensity in that first half period, the way they go for the jugger and they push on very much in the first 20 minutes. Tipperary last year, look at the hits, right? Everybody 3, 4, 5 men chasing down the ball, giving no space, denying them the opportunities. getting the hooks in, getting the blocks in. And if that level of intensity isn't there for Tipperary today, they will struggle in this game. I would expect it to be there on the basis of Liam said that these guys will not be happy with one All-Ireland medal in 10 years. So if you're reigning champions and you want to go on further, you've got to increase the intensity levels today. And that's what I'd expect out of Tipperary. I mean, from their full back line out, right out to midfield, non-stop action and being in Kilkenny's faces and taking the game to Kilkenny rather than waiting for.
Flanked by JJ Delaney, of course, and Tommy Walsh, two incredibly important players.
Yeah, any half-back line, Michael, in any team, but like on the Kilkenny team, if they play well, Kilkenny play well. Like Tommy Walsh, these are great players. Tommy Walsh is a small player, but he's immaculate in there, and he always does the right thing with the ball. He's always in the thick of the action. Here again, like this is Michael Finlay, a big, strong. Now they seem to link up a lot with this Michael Finlay, and like again the crowd out attack. You're going to see here a little flick back here. Like these guys on song, they're Welsh, Delaney. Brian Hogan, they're big, strong players. Now Hogan was missing last year, and he drives again, linking up with Michael Finlay and bang it off. They do that seemingly. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens the whole time. They have a kind of a certain plan with it at this stage. This is Hogan here bursts into it. Now, there's not much you can do here for Walker. He just goes up the middle. He finds himself gone way up the field and hucks it over the bar. He was missing last year, and there's a lot of talk about Henry being absent, but this guy is a very, very forceful player. And you'll find they will probably come back a small bit to help the full back line, and if they play well, Tip could be in trouble, but they're the real engine of the team. Now they have a lot of mileage on the hurling clock, but there could be one big one left in them.
Brian Hogan, of course, is the Kilkenny captain as well. Old Kelly, the Tipperary captain. They've had the toss there a few minutes ago. We understand that Kilkenny won that toss, as far as I could see anyway, and I think they're going to play from left to right as we are watching. Referee Brian Gavin there as well, of course.
Yeah, again, the toss is in, and Owen Kelly, I think, to me, has been majestic in the last two finals. I mean, being involved in 2009, to see what the guy had went through with his back. I think he got 14 or 15 injections into his lower back, and to see the performance that guy brought, it was probably a man of the match performance, only for Tip didn't win the game.
Yes.
And again, last day, Jackie Turle is a top class player, but 7 times he went out and stood over frees, and 7 times he put the ball over the bar. And, when Henry was gone, like Kilkenny did miss a few. It could have been back to 2 or 3 points with 5 minutes to go if Henry was still on the pitch. So Owen is going to be key. I think Owen's performance generally drives, it sort of sets the tone for the team. So he'll be very, very important.
I mean, that is a crucial point, because I mean they did struggle there, Michael, the last day, particularly in their half-hour line. Tipperary. I mean, there was 2 or 3 even substituted, right? Because realistically, Dublin were on top. I know Dublin had an extra man back in defence, but when you're not on top in your half-hour line against this Kilkenny half-back line, it means there's no supply going into the inside line. So I mean, that is crucial. I mean, Owen Kelly isn't the quickest on his feet, right? I mean, he's not getting any younger, right? So he tries on ball straight at him, not out into the corner, straight at him, that he can actually get his body around the defender and win possession, and that is crucial for Tipperary today.
Tomas, even the last day, his free taking is immaculate. He stands over the 65s or odd frees, pops them all over. Now, if you have a guy that can score from midfield in all the time, it means you're still in the game if you don't concede goals, and he's doing that the whole time. And, he has gone a bit slower, but his brain hasn't gone slower.
No, there's no doubt about that. And in actual fact, it's amazing looking at for guys like him, for Brendan Cummins or for Lara Corbett. It's like buses. You don't see an All-Ireland medal for 10 years, and then there's a prospect of 2 coming along together.
These guys, the Lar and Kelly and Brendan Cummins have won All-Ireland way back, and you'd imagine they're winning a lot in between. But all they have, I know it's a good bit. They have 2 All-Irelands, but when you look at the Kilkenny boys, they all have buckets loads of them. So they are mad to win because they haven't won as much as they feel that they should have won. And this, take out the 3 or 4 older guys that are around on the team. This is a very, very young Tipperary team. If they can win today, they can be the real new force. They can be the Kilkenny of the hurling world.
That'll be a driving force.
Absolutely driving force. Yeah, as I said, they only have 1 in 10. It's a huge driving factor for these guys. Larry and Owen and Brendan, they'll probably look back over the last 10 years and say, we missed opportunities here. We could have had more silverware. So now they've got a chance. The young lads have come in. The young lads have brought the training and everything to a new level in there, because they were winning minors in 06 and 07. So it's all fitting very, very nicely together. But as you said, they're starting to shove on the wrong side of 30 now. So they'll be anxious to get another All-Ireland medal here today. But they're going to have to earn it.
We talk with admiration about Owen Kelly, what he's had to go through, the back injuries and so on, but Henry Shefflin, we saw him a moment ago there, when he hobbled off the field, Tomas, 12 months ago, we wondered would we see him again.
I mean,
I've so
much admiration for this guy as an individual on and off the field, but as a hurler, right? And I mean, we saw last year there was a change in tempo with Kilkenny when he went off the field, right? I mean, he is their leader of the attack, he is their playmaker, everything goes through him, whether it's from frees or open play, and they just the brain power that he has to spot guys in different positions, in scoring positions, and the unselfishness of his play. And he is key to Kilkenny today, no doubt about that. You could talk about the Owen Larkins and the Richie Hogans and Richie Power. Yes, they're key as well. But if Shefflin begins this game well, and it gets into his stride early, they can cause serious problems for that Tipperary backline.
Liam Sheedy, you don't want to see any player hobble off the field in an Ireland final, but I'm sure when you saw that last year, you knew that was a boost to your team. You had to.